It's not about, like I said, pushing or trying to make it happen. It's about relaxation. Relaxation with that unique combination of willingness and concentration. So you'll find that the practice is on the gentler side. It's not Ashtanga yoga, it's not power yoga, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have demanding qualities to it, because some of the most demanding qualities that we find in our practice is the ability to really be present and to really listen to our bodies. So when you're in a pose, and this is the interactive part of it for me, is if you're in a pose and it doesn't feel right, you can't breathe easily in it, those kind of aspects are all sort of red flags of let's make some adjustments. The other aspect to energy flow has to do with alignment. So principles of alignment are really important, and that's often missed in more routinized classroom situations. It's not that we want to emphasize that, but we do want to have awareness of it, because that's where injury happens, is repetitious forms where we're not conscious of honoring our bodies through alignment. Then we are more prone to injury and just not good practice, that's not supportive of a healthy body. So we're going to start off. One of the tendency or traits of Ananda Yoga is you typically, and I'm by no means a typical teacher in many respects, but typically you do start off standing. We are going to start with a pranayama though. The pranayama for this chapter on energy is Kapalabhati breath, which is a wonderful breathing exercise that helps to energize the body and to detoxify the system, and it's also really invigorating for the abdominal organs. Are you familiar with Kapalabhati, Nikki? With your other practices? Okay, it's also known as breath of fire. And the emphasis on Kapalabhati breath is on the exhalation. And it's a very strong, forceful exhalation through the nostrils. In fact, typically it's nice to have some Kleenex nearby. If you are, I have sort of it's somewhat what of a crude analogy for Kapalabhati, but it's like if a bug flew up your nose, you're trying to get that bug out really quick. And if you do it with that kind of energy, you don't even really have to think about the mechanics of it. Because if you exhale strongly through the nostrils, you'll naturally, the belly's going to come in. And that's the movement of Kapalabhati, is that as you exhale, belly comes in. And then there's a brief inhalation in between each exhalation, emphasis on the exhalation. But when the exhalation just comes of its own as the belly's released. So belly comes in, and oftentimes I say, just put your hands on your belly and think of it as pushing the breath out. And you'll feel that movement, exhalation, like pushing the breath out, and then you just take a brief inhalation in between. So let's just try it for a moment. You place your hands on your belly and there's an inhalation in between there, okay? Now, let's back up a minute. That's just sort of the basic mechanics of the breathing part, but let's pay attention to our alignment. So you want to sit in a comfortable position. Doesn't have to be cross-legged, it could be in a chair. But I am going to mention, since we're talking about that, if you're sitting on the floor, I would really suggest you use a pillow or a blanket, because again, we're not looking to really force ourselves into an upright spine. We're just trying to honor the natural curves of the spine. So we have got this curve down here in the lower back, the lumbar curve, and then it comes up and there's the thoracic, and then the cervical curve is up here. So it's like this, And the reason we're made that way is because it's perfect for the distribution of the weight in our upright movement and the health of the spine. So it's when we don't have those spinal curves in the proper alignment that we start to get back problems. So when we're sitting, we want to honor that. And we tend to, many of us tend to be tight through here or tight in the backside of our legs, and that pulls our spine under, our pelvis down, and we start to slump and we lose that openness in the trunk, in the front part of our body. So essentially the heart is lifted, shoulders are relaxed. If we sit on a pillow, we're going to scoot just a little forward so that the pelvis tilts. The knees are a good sign of your proper positioning, because if they're below the hips or not any higher than that, then you know that you've set yourself up for that proper positioning. So whenever we're in a sitting posture on the floor, we want to be able to have a little bit of support that contributes to ease. Part of the practice of, a huge part of the practice of our asana practice is to find the balance between effort and effortlessness. If we go too far into the relaxation part, then we lose the integrity of it. If we go too much in the willful part of it, then we don't have enough relaxation for the energy to flow. So we don't want to get tamasic, we don't want to get so low energy, but the proper alignment helps us to get that energy flow so that we do feel actually more energy. When we're like this, believe it or not, we're not going to get more energy, we're going to get less, because we're more collapsed. So we sit properly. Welcome, Alma. We're doing a little bit different class here tonight because it's sort of like it is a Raja Yoga primer for you. So we're happy that you're joining us. So we sit with that proper sitting position, heart lifted, shoulders relaxed. We'll turn our palms upward, and we're going to do Kapalabhati breath. So again, it's the emphasis on the exhalation. You can try it with your hands to just remind you that the breath is going out. We're going to do it in 2 phases, but the first phase is this one where you're just focusing on that exhalation. Once you exhale, then the inhalation comes of its own, okay? You don't really have to focus on the inhalation. So let's try 20 counts of Kapalabhati breath. We're going to just close our eyes for a moment, and we're going to just bring our awareness first inside to the breath, and just take a moment to center yourself, feel where you're at in this moment, review the alignment principles we just talked about. Notice where you feel good in your body, maybe where you don't feel so good. Notice how you feel energetically. What does that mean? Well, has this been a day where you felt more energy? Maybe you started off feeling, less energy. That was sort of where I was at. And then maybe by the end of the day, taking in some of the prana of this, we've got beautiful weather here right now, that helps to lift the energy or to help that energy flow into you more. You can pick up on all that prana. But just sort of take a moment and notice where you're at. And then feel the sensations of the breath as you inhale through the nostrils, allowing and receiving the breath all the way down into the belly. And then feeling the fullness of the breath as it rises through the rib cage and up into the heart. And as I said, let your shoulders rise and fall with your breath. Let your gaze be upward as if you were looking out on a horizon, let's say a rising sun above a ridgetop. So it's slightly upward, but it's a point in front of you. So when we say look at the point between the eyebrows, we're not asking you to sort of screw your eyes up really strong and willfully with a lot of strain. It's not straining. It's a gentle uplifted gaze. And then from that place of just centering in a calm diaphragmatic breath, which is that allowing and receiving down into the belly, we'll move into Kapalabhati breath, breath of fire. And again, that's where we're emphasizing that exhalation and drawing the belly in as we exhale. So let's try 20 counts of Kapalabhati, and we'll begin now. Just relax. Take a deep breath. Just notice how you feel with that. Maybe you don't feel anything. Maybe if you start to feel any kind of lightheadedness or aching in your lower back, then we know that we need to do some refinement there. Okay? So we're going to do it again. And this time we will make it a little longer. Okay? If that felt good for you, then we'll go a little bit longer. We'll go to 30 counts. And we'll just do 30 counts. And then after we do the 30 counts, we're going to add one more element. So let's do 30 counts of Kapalabhati. Remember, the belly comes in on the exhalation. That's the most important thing to remember. And let's begin now. And relax. Take a deep breath. Slowly exhale. Relax and feel. Okay, so open your eyes for just a moment. And Nikki, how did that feel for you? Was that work out okay for you?
Yeah, that felt great.
Okay, and are you familiar with that now that we went over that? Have you done that one before? Just
I think yes.
because
Hmm.
it's a fairly common pranayama in a lot of yoga classes. Now the next element that we're going to add to it is a bandha, which means lock, and the bandha we're going to add is called mula bandha. Mula means root lock, and so it's best described to women as like a kegel, which I'm sure you're familiar with. So what you're going to do is you're basically going to contract those muscles, the same kind of muscles for a kegel, the pelvic floor muscles, and you're going to hold that contraction. It's a little bit like patting your head and rubbing your belly. You're going to hold that contraction the entire time you're doing the breathing exercise part of it, okay? And that's just, again, it's said to keep a circuit going, and it's actually a practice that Mula Bandha is a great practice for any women that have gone through trauma, any kind of sexual trauma and things like that. They tend to lose energy through that first chakra. And that's a lock that helps keep that energy flowing more upward, right? And so we're going to practice it. We're going to try it with Mula Bandha. You're going to contract the pelvic floor, close your eyes again, and let's do another 30 counts of Kapalabhati with Mula Bandha. And we'll begin now. And relax. Take a moment. Take a deep breath. Slowly exhale. See if you notice any difference at all. You're just working with that observing, witnessing state, not judging it. Well, what if I don't feel any difference? Don't judge it. Just be with it. The more you do practice pranayama on a regular basis, that's of course when you feel the most benefit. Just like any of the practices, it's consistency and regularity. We're going to do one more round of Kapalabhati, and this time we're going to extend it a little longer. And if you can't hold the Mula Bandha, that's fine. But the real practice of Kapalabhati is Mula Bandha plus the breathing exercise. So let's go ahead, contract the pelvic floor and that Mula Bandha, and we're going to do 40 counts now. And if you feel lightheaded or, like I said, any kind of discomfort, then don't do as many. But let's see if we can do 40. And here we go. Take a deep breath, slowly exhale, relax and feel. Keeping your awareness at the point between the eyebrows. Can you feel any difference? And I want to say sensation in your body, a more perhaps pronounced awareness of a sensation in your body that's not necessarily related in a sort of gross physical way, but what I mean by that is you may feel more of a sense of awareness at the point between the eyebrows. Sometimes you feel it in the spine itself. If you don't feel any of those things, it's not, right or wrong. It's just keep bringing your awareness back inside and noticing what's happening. What is it that you are aware of? Tingling, sensations. That's how you start to train your awareness to the energy body. Okay, now we've been sitting for a while, so let's take our legs out and give them a little wiggle, and then we're going to come to standing, and we'll start working more with the asana practice. I guess I'll put this here. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is I always like to think of the different centering postures, what I call poses of stillness. That when we move in and out of a pose, that's as important as the pose itself. And we do a pose and then we come back into stillness and we relax and feel. And that's the practice of Ananda Yoga. So our pose of stillness in the standing postures is primarily Tadasana, standing mountain pose. So you're going to take a moment and stand with your feet straight forward. And you might just look down for a moment. When I say straight forward, I'm talking about the outsides of the feet are parallel to one another. So in essence, it may look that you're slightly turned in. But if you're looking to have the outsides of the feet parallel and the knees are still aligning over those ankles, then you've got the proper hips width apart stance or base for Tadasana. Now there's exceptions to that if sometimes our bodies are formed where we have more of an outward rotation of our hips, and if we stand this way, our knees are still going to want to go out that way. But I don't think that's the case with you as far as I know. So, but if you do look down, you want to make sure that the knees are also aligned over those ankles if they're not having that tendency to go out. Well, let's go back to the feet for a moment. Feet are hips width apart, straight forward. Take a moment and just wiggle those toes, and then try to grip your mat with your toes, and you'll find that you're starting to activate your arch. And we want to be aware of the arches because some of us have a tendency to be more flat-footed. And again, this is our whole foundation. Everything that starts with the feet is going to reverberate up through the rest of our body. So if we activate that arch, that also helps to activate the inner leg, gives us strength. And as women in particular, that's an area we want to really keep a lot of integrity, because we tend to collapse through there. We have babies, we do things like that, and that pelvic floor issue is an issue. So we create that awareness of arch and the inner leg, and then we come up, we make sure the knees are not locked. I happen to be hypermobile in my knees, so I have to be really aware not to press back on the knees and to keep them essentially soft. And we come up the hips, again, we want the pelvis to be in a neutral place. So if this, like a bowl, soup bowl, was in your pelvis, you don't want it too far forward. I'll turn to the side, too far forward, or tucked under. Tends to be, most people tend to be more tucked. They tend to be tighter through here, and they tuck more, okay? We want a neutral place, okay? A neutral place, and as you do that, you'll also notice how that affects the feet. So if you just rock back and forth a little bit, you'll notice how it affects the weight in the feet. And we want to have where we want our weight to be based on that neutral pelvis and our awareness of where we're placing the weight in the feet is a little forward in the heels and really feeling grounded through the base of the big toe and the base of that little toe. So we've got sort of the those points that we're aware of, and that arch in the foot as well. So neutral position of the pelvis, awareness of the weight in the feet, slightly forward in those heels, not all the way on the balls of the feet. And then as you come up, turn a little more this way, trying to get it right. Shoulders, ears are aligned over the shoulders. You've got those natural curves of the spine. You'll turn the palms outward. Chin will be tucked in just ever so slightly. So it's like you've got this plumb line coming through the crown of your head, right? Back of the neck is a little bit long. Now, it's not like we're standing rigid like soldiers. So we want to just try to really feel. Take a moment, close your eyes. Again, awareness at the point between the eyebrows. And just rock a little bit back and forth. Feel where you're at in your body, where you can stack those bones so that you have maximum sense of energy flow. Okay? And energy flow, what does that mean? Ease in the body. And there's a sense of openness. There's a sense of subtle upliftment. If you were to collapse the body, there's a sense of a downward pull, gravity. So we're using actually gravity to our advantage by pressing down through those feet, getting that alignment, and then we feel that upward lift. And that's sort of the dance of the yogi, to be on this plane of existence and utilize it for the upliftment of our consciousness. So here we are in our Tadasana, pose of stillness. We come back to the breath, which is essentially aligning ourselves. It's our doorway to that energy body, to our awareness of the energy body and the movement of energy in our body. So we come back to the breath awareness. We inhale through the nostrils, feel that breath come all the way down to the belly. We're opening and receiving, not forcing. And again, feeling the fullness of the breath rise up through the rib cage, up into the heart. Shoulders rising and falling. It's a wave-like motion because we are waves of energy. We are waves of energy. So we feel the breath like a wave of energy flowing through us. And we're going to start with our full yogic breath. Now this is one that can be helpful to use with a chair if we are particularly tight on those hamstrings. But I'm going to first demonstrate it without the chair. And I'm going to turn sideways. And we're going to inhale and we're going to lift the arms above the head, open, lengthen, lift. And as we exhale, we're going to roll down vertebra by vertebra. Keep the knees soft and just come all the way over into a forward bend. And we'll just hang here for just a moment. Our knees are very soft. This is not about stretching. This is about letting go. Take some deep breaths into the belly, but also think about the back side of your body, releasing tension there. If you can't bring your hands to the floor, you may want to use those blocks. Or again, you can use the chair. Right, to give a little more support and also support to that lower back if you're weaker in your lower back. So on our next inhalation, we're going to slowly roll back up the spine, bring the arms right through the center of the body, right through that central energy pathway of the spine. Bring the arms above the head, exhale, come back down. And I want you to think of your hands as magnets of just bringing that energy down, releasing, and as you inhale, bringing in fresh energy and magnetizing the spine and the body. At the top of the inhalation, you're fully extended, and then you follow the exhalation back down, releasing, letting go of that which is not necessary in this day anymore. So all those thoughts and concerns. Inhaling, being fully present in the body as you roll back up, finding your own breath body rhythm. So you're going to follow your rhythm. Exhaling all the way down. At the bottom of the exhalation, you're fully extended. When you're ready to inhale, you'll slowly roll back up. And I think of this as is like an energy hygiene movement. You're just washing that energy body with the breath, with the magnetized hands. Ha. Sometimes I do ha breath. Deep inhalation. Just do a couple more. Feeling that sense of flow. When I teach this to kids, I often say, think of as you exhale, you are a waterfall coming down. As you inhale, it's like a fountain coming up. One more time. And on our next inhalation, as we come up, we're going to come all the way up. We're just going to share that flow, that energy, that upliftment to everyone. Just let your arms come back to your sides. Standing in Tadasana, relax and feel. Always keep that awareness in the present moment of what's happening in your body and what's happening with the breath. And then you know you're doing yoga. Okay, now from there, we're going to do a couple more standing postures to move us into one of the postures that that's from the book tonight, and that's a balancing pose called the eagle pose. But we'll do a few more poses sort of warming up to that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to do a energization exercise, which you're going to learn more of. And this is just a rotation of the shoulders. We come up on the toes and we combine it with a double breath. And the double breath is you inhale through the nostrils, a short and then long inhalation, exhale through the mouth. Again, short and long exhalation. And we combine that with the movement. So we're going to inhale, come up on the toes, exhale down. It's a pretty vigorous breath. And then we'll reverse. And then relax. And the energization exercises, which is what you're going to get in depth in this Raja Yoga course, are also in and of themselves great warm-ups for asana practice, the yoga postures. So we're going to do another one now, and this one is an upper body twist. And we're first going to engage our legs here because we want to make sure that our pelvis stays forward. It's not going to twist with us. We're going to just twist the upper body. We're going to bring the arms up, and the movement is like this. So I'm going to take my right hand to my chest, my left arm behind, and then I'm going to come back forward and switch sides. So that's the movement. And you can do it with fists or you can do it with open hands, whatever works for you. And the hips stay forward. Now we combine that with a double breath. We exhale, inhale back to the opposite side. So try that, keeping those hips forward, and you'll feel the movement in that upper spine. And then come back and shake it out a bit. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. All right. Now let's go ahead and spread our legs out wide. Nice and wide. And when I say nice and wide, it's about 3 feet. You can take your hands out, and this is a rough measurement, but you can get a pretty good idea if you're not unusually long in your arms or legs. If your legs are as wide as, like your feet right below your hands, that's about right. But also you want to feel comfortable in the pose and not too overly challenged there, especially through here, right? So we're going to turn, you have your mat, you're going to turn your left foot out so it's parallel to the sides of the mat. And your right foot is going to turn in toward that center part a little bit so that your hips are actually angling this way. They're not straight forward. They're a little bit this way. This hip is externally rotated. This hip is actually flowing this way. It's not externally rotated, okay? And you're going to bring your hands to your heart, engage the muscles of your legs. Okay, so your legs aren't just hanging out, you're actually active with them. Inhale, open up. Exhale, back to center. So just engage the breath. And then on your next inhalation, you're going to leave the arms out and you're going to bend that left knee in what we call Virabhadrasana 2. We'll turn the palms upward. That's how we like to teach it in Ananda Yoga because it's active more receptivity, right? You can sort of feel that. I have a sense, I don't know, sort of sense what your feeling is this way. I'll give you a moment to think about that. And then turn it this way. We say this feels a little more receptive. Well, what does this feel like? I know for me it's more of a grounding, strengthen kind of pose. You want that arm behind you the same, height as the shoulder, and the same with that front. And you're looking over that left arm. Turn them up again. See how they feel. The knee remains over the ankle. Take a quick look down at your knee. Make sure it's not coming on the inside of that foot, that stays right over that ankle, and it's not further than that, right? Okay. Now, just to keep staying really connected with the breath, let's inhale and straighten that front leg. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. I think of the breaths as cleansing breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do one more. Inhale. Exhale. Okay? I joyfully manifest the power of God within me. I joyfully manifest the power of God within me. Breathe into the pose. Feel like you're stretching the mat apart with your feet, right? Deep breaths. And then inhale, straighten that front leg, turn the feet forward. Exhale, walk it back in. Relax and feel into Tadasana. I joyfully manifest the power of God within me. Let's go to the other side, because we always are balancing on either side. So we'll turn the right foot out and the left foot in. And another standard measurement is that heel of the front foot aligning with the arch of the rear. Sometimes that's hard to hold, so it's not a hard and fast rule, but that's a general alignment principle for a classical pose of Virabhadrasana 2. Let's inhale, open. Exhale. Inhale, fill the whole body with the breath. Exhale. Inhale, open. Exhale, and then inhale, leave the arms out. Exhale, bend that right knee. Look over the right hand. Let's turn the palms upward. And let's do a little more breathing. Inhale, straighten that front leg. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do one more. I joyfully manifest the power of God within me. Deep breaths. And then inhale, straighten that leg, turn the feet forward, walk it back in, relax and feel. Now bring your hands to your shoulders, and we're just going to do another energization, which we're actually just moving those shoulders. Not worrying so much about the elbows, but just moving the shoulders, rotating them around, and then reversing. Okay. And we're going to move into Garandasana now, eagle pose. It's a balancing pose, and so the common instruction is to find a point in front of you that you can fix your gaze. We call it the drishti. It's where your focused attention is. That can help you hold a balancing pose. But the first thing before we go into the balancing pose is we're going to work with the arms. So bring the arms up, and let's go ahead and bring that left arm forward and our right arm underneath. Okay? We're going to see if we can bring the palms together. If not, this is fine, this is fine. You can even do this. Typically, if you can get your hands together, that's, ideal, right? Looks like you got it good. And let's just work a little bit with those shoulders again. Let's rotate around. And reverse it. And then we'll inhale those arms up, exhale, inhale up, exhale, inhale, exhale. One more. Now I'm going to turn to the side here because I also want you to look at the relationship of the elbows to the shoulders, okay? So we don't want them to come down. We want to lift those elbows up at the same time, bring the shoulders down and the hands away from the face, okay? And see how that makes it a little more engaged, right? And then from there, we're going to balance on that left leg. So this is where you start to find that point in front of you. Bend your knee slightly. And we're going to lift that right leg up and over. And if we can, we'll wrap that foot around. I can't do that now. So my great humility is that I can't do that anymore. But you can just cross it over, or if you're having issues with your balance, you certainly can put your toes down and place and hold the pose this way, right? And then you can sink down a little bit deeper into the pose. At the center of life's storms, I stand serene. At the center of life's storms, I stand serene. Take some deep breaths here as you mentally repeat the affirmation. A great one for these times, right? At the center of life's storms, I stand serene. And then inhale, come up. We'll undo. And we'll come back into Tadasana. Relax and feel. Now, the balancing poses are perhaps the best for really bringing us into the present moment. We can't be thinking about a lot of other things and hold that balance. And you usually get a really much more strong sense of that energy flow in your body. So see if you can sense that more now. And then we will go on to the other side. And remember, you can come out of a pose at any time. Don't have to hold it as long if it doesn't feel right for you. So we're going to bring the arms up again. This time we'll take the right arm forward, left arm underneath and around. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to first rotate the shoulders. And we're really focusing on the shoulders. Sometimes people put the whole body into it. No, we just want to keep the rest of the body still and work on those shoulders. And then go the opposite direction. And then we'll lift the arms up and back down. Up and down. Inhale up, exhale down. Let's do one more. Okay. Then we'll bend those knees. We're going to let the tail drop down a little bit. Okay, we're not actively tucking, but we're relaxing through that lower back. And then we're going to place all our weight on that right leg, fix our gaze at a point in front of us, lift up the left leg, bring it around, and then come down and sit a little deeper in the pose, keeping the heart lifted. At the center of life's storms, I stand serene. At the center of life's storms, I stand serene. And inhale back up. We'll unwind and we'll come back into Tadasana. Take a deep breath, slowly exhale. We'll do one more standing posture and then we're going to head back toward the floor to get a few more of the postures from the chapter in our practice. So we're going to do Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose, which in some other traditions is different from this one. This one sometimes is known as crescent moon pose and other ones. But what we're going to do here is we're going to inhale the arms up, and I'm going to cross my thumbs and my hands like this. Come up on my toes. And I'm going to lift up and over to the right side. And I'm going to keep on those toes if I can. It's going to be another balancing pose in that sense. Gazing upward and keeping my body as if it's between two panes of glass. I'm not twisting here. I'm staying in one plane. My shoulders are relaxed, but there's energy in those arms, energy coursing through my body as I gaze upward, and I mentally repeat, strength and courage fill my body. Strength and courage fill my body. And remember, you can bring your heels back down if you feel to. And then we'll inhale. Let's just go ahead and go to the other side here. Exhale. Breathe. Think of the spine as like a hollow tube. And as you're inhaling, you're bringing the energy up through the spine to the point between the eyebrows. And you'll find out more about the reality of that as we go deeper in our Raja Yoga course. But it's good to visualize that even now as you're in the posture, to see the spine in energy like beautiful radiant light flowing up to that point between the eyebrows with each inhalation. Strength and courage fill my body. Strength and courage fill my body. And then inhale back up. Exhale, we're going to slowly bring our arms back down, heels to the floor, and come back into the stillness of Tadasana. Okay, let's head back toward the floor. I notice my music has stopped, so I'm going to start it again, just in case we still want that. You're going to come forward on the front of your mat here, and you're going to inhale the arms up, exhale, surrender forward. And just relax in that forward bend again. Knees are soft. Take a few deep breaths. And then bring your hands up to your thighs. Inhale, lengthen your spine parallel to the floor. Okay? Feel like you're lengthening through the tail, lengthening through the crown of the head. You can draw the navel in slightly. Exhale, release back down. Inhale and lengthen again. And then exhale, and this time take your hands to the floor. Giant step back with that right foot into the lunge. And again, you're going to really energize that rear leg as you extend back through the heel. Press down through the heel of the front leg, and that knee is going to be over the ankle. So if that heel, if your weight is not in the heel of that front foot, then you know that that front foot needs to go a little bit more forward, or the rear leg needs to go back. In other words, what would be happening is this, and that is not the proper alignment for the knee or to keep the integrity of the joints. So we want to think about the integrity of the joints as we're in postures. I didn't used to think about that, but I definitely think about that now in my 60s. You take it for granted when you're younger. Inhale, lengthen the spine, look forward, and then let's go ahead and take that knee to the floor. Okay, and being aware that we're not collapsing as we rotating that hip in. We want to keep that integrity through there and feel that nice gentle stretch in that right thigh. Deep breaths. And then we're going to back off just a little bit and come up onto that right knee. Inhale, exhale, let the hips come forward, down and forward a little bit. Bring our arms above the head, lift the heart. Exhale those arms out to the sides, and we're going to twist here and take that right hand on the outside of that right knee, or left knee, excuse me, and left hand on the right hip, and looking over that left shoulder, breathing. Deep breath, nice long spine. We always want to twist with a nice long spine. And then exhale and release back down. We're going to lift up that left leg, and we're going to take a moment and come into a pose of stillness, which is child's pose, extended child's pose, balasana. So buttocks to the heels, and forehead's going to come to the floor. If we can't get the forehead to the floor or the buttocks to the heels, we can put a blanket or pillow there, or we can put a block here. I personally love blocks, even though I haven't used them today. You can put a block there, whatever works for you. You can also spread the knees apart a little bit. This is a pose of stillness. Go deep into it and listen to this affirmation: I relax from all outer involvement into my inner haven of peace. I relax from all outer involvement into my inner haven of peace. And then inhale and come back up. We're going to do our other side with the lunge. So we're going to bring the right leg forward here. And lift up the rear leg, extend strongly back. Here you can see that alignment a little easier. The foot is again parallel to the mat, pressing down through that heel, extending back through the rear heel, lengthening. Deep breaths, and then take your knee to the floor so we get a little deeper opening in the groin and the quad there. We're going to need that for a pose we're going to do in a minute. So we're doing a pose to help warm us up to another pose. Then we're going to go ahead and come up. And we're going to exhale, those hips down and forward, bring the arms above the head, a gentle back bend. And you can either have those rear toes turned under like I am, I like to do that, or they can be flat. It's really up to you. Exhale the arms aside. Inhale. As you exhale, twisting from the belly, first, we're going to turn toward that right side. Nice long spine, heart lifted, breathing. And twists, of course, are great for those internal organs. Call it soak and squeeze, or squeeze and soak, as we're squeezing now, and then when we release it, blood and lymph, everything flows again and cleanses. Exhale and release back down. Let's come back into our pose of stillness so that we can relax and feel and allow that energy that's been released through that movement and that stretching to come back into center. I relax from all outer involvement into my inner haven of peace. And an inhale, come up. We take a moment here in what we call Vajrasana. It's another pose of stillness, but we're going to just be here briefly. So I'm sitting on the backs of my heels, and again, if this isn't comfortable, you can place something between the calves and the thighs. It looks like you're doing great in that. Now we're going to come up onto our knees. Just going to do a couple more postures here so we don't get too behind. This is not an easy pose, but we can adapt it. Actually, let me grab my blocks here too. It's a great one for the blocks. I'm going to use the chair as well. And I do think that you should practice this one first with blocks. It's going to be camel pose, Ustrasana. And it's a big back bend, right? It's a wonderful back bend, but it really works to open the heart, and it's one that we want to do carefully and with a lot of awareness. So we're on our knees, and a chair is great for this. I'm going to bring the chair up, and we're going to do it simply first. And you place your hands on your pelvis, with your hands in that position. Roll those shoulders back and down so that you feel like the bottoms of the shoulder blades are trying to come together. And then you're going to inhale a deep breath. As you inhale, feel a sense of lift through the chest, through the heart, like there's a string just attached and it's pulling the heart up. And as you exhale, don't hold the breath, exhale, but hold the pose. Don't collapse as you exhale. So you get the sort of start it with the inhalation, which gives you that lift, but don't lose it as you exhale. And at the same time, feel like you're lengthening up, not round, not collapsing through that lower back. And the hips, the thighs are parallel to the floor. We're not going to lean back. We're going to keep them forward and keep thinking length, length, length. First, placing those hands on the pelvis. What do we do with the neck? Well, for some people, you can release that neck back. For others, it may not feel so good. So you can just keep the neck in a more neutral position, that chin tucked in slightly, breathing, and then let's inhale, come up. That's the first phase. Now we can go a little deeper with the blocks or a chair. I'll do it with the blocks here. And I know that we've got some proficient yogis on today who might go even deeper, but I'm not going to show that. I'm just going to show it with the blocks. So you get the blocks on the outside of the feet. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to inhale, roll the shoulders back, lift and lengthen. And as we exhale, we're going to keep that lift, find our blocks, and then from there, breathe into it. Lifting and lengthening. With calm faith, I open to thy light. With calm faith, I open to thy light. Deep breaths into the belly. No sense of pinching in the lower back. And then inhale back up. Exhale, and now we want to relax and feel. We want to feel the energy movement. So we'll come back into Vajrasana, firm pose. And we're going to close our eyes, relax and feel. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. And then opening your eyes. We're just going to do one more pose tonight because we're getting close on the time. And this is another twist. No, actually, I think I'm going to do Ardha Salambhasana. We're not going to get to all the poses in the chapter, but we'll get to them next week. So Ardha Salambhasana is locust pose. So let's go ahead and come down onto our bellies. And you're going to just turn your head to one side for a moment and find the wave of your breath. Feel the breath as it flows down into the belly, up through the rib cage, up into the heart. And with each exhalation, just allow yourself to yield to the floor beneath you. And we're going to just take our hands, palms upward, underneath our body here. For me, I place them on the inside of those hip bones. Okay, and the palms are upward on the thighs. And I see that I'm going to probably run out of room here with this chair, so I'm going to push it back. And I want you to bring your chin to the mat, then lengthen that left leg, like you're trying to grow that left leg out of the spine. And you're going to slowly lift that left leg up as high as you can. But again, what's the quality of the breath as you're in the pose? If you can't breathe easily in the pose, then you're straining. You come out of your yoga. So nice fluid breath accompanies whatever that height of that leg is. I soar upward on wings of joy. I soar upward on wings of joy. And then exhale that leg down. Take a moment. You can, if you want, you can turn your head to the opposite side. This pose is great for strengthening the lower back. And then we'll bring that chin back down. Let's extend and grow that right leg out of that right hip as we lift it up and breathe. Chin remains on the floor. I soar upward on wings of joy. I soar upward on wings of joy. And exhale back down. Let's let our pose of stillness be that we turn over onto our backs now. And we're going to just draw our knees briefly into our chest to release the lower back. And then we'll release the legs onto the floor for a short relaxation. And the Shavasana, as it's called, is the most important pose. So as you lying flat on your back, or if you need to, because of your lower back, you can certainly bend your knees or place a pillow under it. Extend your hands down toward your feet with the palms upward so the shoulders come away from the ears. Move the head a little bit, make sure the neck is released. You can move the jaw. And then closing your eyes, gazing upward. The purpose of this pose is the ultimate integration of our practice into stillness. But it's stillness that is moving toward the superconsciousness, not the subconscious. So we are aware, we are in ideal circumstances, we are awake, we are conscious. Sometimes people do fall asleep in this pose. Well, I personally feel they need the sleep. But what, as yogis, we're aspiring to is to be fully conscious and aware and completely relaxed. So that the sense of body awareness starts to fall away and that we become united with the breath itself. That we feel ourselves being absorbed in the flow of the breath as we allow that wave of the breath to flow all the way down to our toes, all the way up through the crown of our head. Feel the gentle undulating movement of the breath through the body. And if you notice any residual tension, just tell the body it can let go. Melting into the floor, so that all that you're aware of is just the flow of the breath, and behind those closed eyes, seeing that darkness as an expansion into infinity. If you're so blessed to see light of the spiritual eye, allow yourself to just breathe there, to bring your awareness fully to that place, the point between the eyebrows. Feel that ultimate absorption into the light. Feel the expansion into the vast inner universe that transcends all time, all space. You are not the body. You are not the mind. You are not your thoughts. You are infinite consciousness. Bones, muscle movement. I surrender. Anxiety, elation, churning thoughts. All these I give into the hands of peace. Give yourself into the hands of peace and relax completely. As you continue to relax there, listening to these words of Swami Kriyananda's on energy from the Raja Yoga text. Wisdom, love, joy, peace, all divine qualities, as well as energy, are implied in the flow of divine grace. But they are perceived first and most easily in their lower manifestation as energy. By learning how to attune oneself to cosmic energy, one learns the secret of divine attunement on all levels. And slowly start to deepen your breath now. Wiggling fingers and toes. Allowing your head to roll gently from side to side. You'll draw your knees up toward your chest and gently rock. And then allow the legs to come to one side and roll to the side. And slowly, taking your time, come up to a comfortable, supported sitting position for our meditation practice, which is what the asana practice so perfectly prepares us for. It releases those tensions of the body so that we can dive deep into that internal reality, into energy, that sense of consciousness and energy moving within us, who we truly are. Let's bring our hands to the heart, palms together, and let's inhale a connecting breath. And exhale. And namaste. Thank you for joining me. And now Supriya will take us into the next phase of our Raja Yoga practice tonight in meditation.
Thank you, Mayatri. As you said, that practice in ancient times was to prepare the body to be able to sit still in meditation. So it's a great blessing to have so many practices that prepare us to go deep within. I will be guiding us through each little technique or pre-meditation technique even. Let me just ask Nikki, do you know the Hong Saw technique? Just shake your head. No, no problem. We'll talk about that later. Not a problem. So this will be a breath-based meditation. But first, let us have our invocation. You can silently repeat after me if you feel to. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, Paramahansa Yogananda, saints of all spiritual paths, we humbly acknowledge your presence. We know you are with us now, surrounding us and filling us with divine light. Help us to go deep within, beyond the physical presence of the body, behind the mind, and deep within to our inner core of stillness. May we feel your love. May we feel your light and your peace. May we feel and experience your joy. And may we give all of these divine qualities to every person we meet. Om, peace. Amen. So now, as we have transitioned into our asana, sitting posture for meditation, just check the body for a moment. Make sure it is supported. If there's any places that feel overstretched and just not relaxed, get a pillow either behind the back, if you're in a chair, if you're on the floor, perhaps under the knees, whatever, so that we truly can move beyond this body. That tall spine, elongating the spine, sitting upright like the crown of the head is gently reaching upward. The shoulders are a little bit back. And on your next exhalation, just let the shoulders soften, opening the heart center. So this chant, very simply, will be focusing on the quality of joy. It is the divine joy, the bliss of divine presence within us and around us and in each other. The words are, from joy I came, for joy I live, in sacred joy I melt again. And we do use chanting before meditation, opening the heart. Just go deep inside. From joy I came, for joy I live, in sacred joy I melt again. From joy I came, for joy I live, in sacred joy I melt again. From joy I came, for joy I live, in sacred joy I melt again. From joy I came, for joy sacred joy, I melt again. And now just awareness of the posture, sitting tall, and the eyes are closed, and resting as they gaze through the spiritual eye center out into the distance, very relaxed in the eyes. Just let that vibration of divine joy fill you. It is already within us. And just to help prepare the body a little bit more, we'll just walk right through a few pre-meditation techniques very briefly. Let's inhale slowly and tense every muscle in this body. Gather the tension, and through the mouth throw the breath out. And the tension, every muscle relaxing. Again, tensing and releasing from high to medium to low, no tension. One last time. And release. And just a few rounds of measured breathing as we move into observing the breath. First, we will control the breath. Again, nice and tall. This is starting in the low belly. We want to expand the belly, and the breathing is all done through the nose. So slowly inhale, belly goes out. The ribs expand all the way to the upper chest, and now we pause. We hold this breath, very relaxed in the shoulders. Keep the eyes upward and exhale through the nose. The chest softens. We go all the way down to the belly and lightly pull the belly in. Again, I'm going to count at 6. Inhale, belly out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3, moving back down to the belly. 5, 6. A few more times. Inhale, belly out. Hold. Exhale. Stay as concentrated as possible. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. The last time, inhale. And immediately exhale. And now let your breath just begin to find its natural rhythm. We're going to observe only the flow of our breath. Let's put our awareness into the area of the nasal passages and observe your own breath. It will come in, it will go out, and we're only observing. We're going to do this just about 5 or 6 minutes together, and then we will be sitting another 3 or 4 minutes before we end at 7 o'clock. So practicing observing that inner breath happening within our own self. Let go of any thoughts. If they come, just let them go and bring your attention back to observing the breath. And we'll support each other in this practice for 5 or 6 minutes. rhythm of the breath changes, just observe it. Just about 2 more minutes, staying concentrated. Eyes are relaxed, gazing gently upward through the point between the eyebrows. Let us now release this technique of meditation that we are using. And we'll do that by slowly inhaling a full inhalation and then 3 exhalations, 2 short ones, and then that third one is the final long exhalation. And now we will just sit in the silence, in the stillness, to the best of our ability, in this moment, and just be open to that divine presence to allow us to experience whatever is best for us. It may be that sense of inner joy or unconditional love, wisdom, peace, so many things. Let's just sit together 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll close the meditation. Now, if you'd like to chant with me 3 ohms. Let's send out into the world the blessings, the energy, the light of God. Send this out into our world. Just pause for a moment. Call to mind anyone you would like to pray for. And for all those we continue to call to mind. And for the upliftment of each and every soul on this planet. Being willing channels now to send light, blessings, love, joy into our world. Sitting upright again, once again, feel the openness in the chest. Let's rub our hands together. We're creating and feeling the energy, the warmth of our hands. And then we'll hold the hands up as we send enchanting 3 ohms out. peace. Amen. And now we will be continuing after a brief break with our evening of Raja Yoga. This evening's class is on energy. Mark will be teaching that and part of the energization exercises, but the concept of energy and what is it and how can we learn to control it, all of that will be addressed. Mark, do you want to put in the chat box the link? I have sent it out to people, but everyone, including you, Alma, you maybe didn't get it. If you would like to join us, it's a different link. So in a moment, we'll see if there are any immediate questions, but we'll put a link in a moment. We'll disengage from this Zoom meeting, have about a 10 to 15 minute max break. 7:15 we'll be back online with the rest of our evening. And but does anyone have any immediate questions or needs before we transition? Okay, there is the link, which makes it easier if you want to just copy it before we get off of this Zoom meeting, or if you any reason lose that.
Yes. And do copy it and paste it somewhere, or just have it copied and on the clipboard, because that room isn't open right now, and if you click on it, it's going to take you someplace that says, it's not open yet because we have to close this meeting and open that one. So it'll take a minute or two. So if you need the link, please make a copy of it, paste it into a Word document, paste it somewhere, and
or just keep. We can just keep it in the copy, right? Yes.
Well, I mean, as soon as this room closes, they'll lose access to the link. So they do need to copy, but they can just hit copy, and that'll be on the clipboard. And as long as they don't copy something else in the meantime, they'll be good.
Right. Or it's in an email that I sent everybody.
Right.
So thank you for this first.
If all else fails, just text Cyprian.
Well, not everyone has my phone number. Anyway, certainly.
We'll figure it out.
We will. I'll be watching my email account. Many blessings.
Right.
See you shortly.
In 10 minutes?
That would be great. Bye. See you soon, Nikki.